What's up guys, my name is Coach Nate from Utah Youth Tennis, and today we're going to be demonstrating how to keep score while you play. Now at first, keeping score might seem challenging and a little complicated, but after today's video, hopefully it seems very simple for us. The first thing we need to understand about keeping track of score is the difference between points, games, sets, and the match. Now briefly, by winning points, you end up winning games. By winning games, you end up winning sets. And by winning sets, you end up winning the match. As you can see, I do have a scorecard here that will help us keep track and learn the scoring. In this column right here, this is our points column. In the middle, we have our games column. And then in the green, this is our sets column. So let's start with points. Now, when you start your match, you start at 0-0. We also can call this love, love, or love all. If you score a point in tennis, your score goes to 15 love. Or 15-0. After 15, you go to 30. If you're at 30 and you score a point, you go to 40. And if you're at 40 love and you score a point, that wins you a game. Another example of this is, let's say Hudson wins a point. Well, he goes to 15 love. Let's say I win the next point. Now we're at 15-15 or 15 all. Again, let's say Hudson wins a point. It's now 30-15. And let's say Hudson wins again. Now he's at 40-15. Finally, let's say Hudson wins a point when he's at 40. That wins Hudson a game. And now we're tied 1-1 in our game score. Again, by winning points, this wins you a game. And in a bit, we'll learn how winning games wins you a set. Let's say this match progresses and we're near the end of a set. So a set is played to 6 total games. When you have won 6 games, you win the set. As you can see, I am currently leading game score 5-3, which means if I win this game, let's say it's 40-15, I win a point to win a game, that will give me a game score of 6-3, meaning I've won a set. So let's see this play out. I win the point, I go to 6-3, which gives me a set. Because I've won the set, our game score restarts. And usually tennis is played best 2 out of 3 sets, meaning you have to win 2 sets in order to win the match. So at the end of the set, me and my opponent Hudson, we're going to start a new set. The game score is 0. I'm up 1-0 in set score. And again, our points are at 0. So for this example, let's say me and Hudson, we've played through a couple more games. And let's say our game score is tied 2-all. So if we end up getting to a score of 40-40, we call this deuce. In regular scoring tennis, when you get to deuce, think of it as almost like a win by 2. So we're at deuce, let's say I win the next point. This gives me the advantage, or ad. If I were to win the point when I'm on ad, that would give me the game. However, let's say I'm on ad and I lose the point. If I have the advantage and I lose and Hudson wins, we go back to 40-all or deuce. Now let's say Hudson wins the point this time. He goes to ad. So in order to win a game, if you get to deuce, you have to go to ad in and then win a point when you have the ad. So if I win the next point, we would go back to deuce. Let's say Hudson wins again. He goes to ad. I win the next point. We go back to deuce. And you play it out until somebody takes the ad and then wins the next point to win them the game. It's also important to note that whoever is serving should call out the score, saying their score first. So as seen by this arrow, let's say I'm the one serving. All right, so I step up to the baseline to serve. I would call first the game score, saying my score first. So I would say 4-3, love all, because that is the score. Let's say I win the first point. The next point I serve out, I would call my score first and then my opponent's. So I would say 15, love, and then I'd play out the point. One other note is whoever is serving will serve out the entirety of the game until it's over, and then the serve will switch. So as demonstrated by the arrow, I'm currently serving and I'm up 30 love. Let's say I win the next point and I win the next point. This will give me a game, and you'll notice now Hudson will go to serve next, as represented by the arrow. So now Hudson is serving, and he would call his score out first and then my score. By winning 2 out of 3 sets, that wins me the match as a whole. Some key parts of keeping score is realizing your point score, counting from love to 15, 30, 40, and then you win the game. Again, 6 games win you a set, and for regular scoring tennis, you have to win 2 sets to win the match. Another important key is understanding deuce. When you get to 40-40, we call this deuce. Again, in order to win a game that is in deuce, you have to take the advantage and then win the point on advantage to win the game. The final thing I want to talk about is what we call a tiebreaker. Now, as we know, sets are played to 6. So let's say Hudson is beating me 5-4 and I'm up 40-love within the game. If I win the next point, we're now tied 5-all. So you may think, well, now if I win the next game and go up 6-5, I've won the set. Unfortunately, tennis doesn't work that way. If you get to 5-all, you're going to play extra games to see if someone can win 7-5. So let's say I'm up 6-5 and I go up to win the set 7-5. Well, that wins me the set. However, on the flip side, let's say Hudson were to win the game, right? And now he takes us to 6-all. At this stage, when we get to 6-all, we enter a tiebreaker. Now, a tiebreaker is played first to 7 points. So rather than keeping score, love, 15, 30, 40, we're just going to count by 1s, 2s, and 3s, all right? All the way up to 7. So we're at 6-all, we enter the tiebreak. Let's say I win the first point in the tiebreaker. I'm now up 1-0. Let's say Hudson wins the next point, we're tied 1-all. I win the next, I go up 2-1, maybe I go up 3-1, maybe 4-1. Hudson wins a point, we're at 4-2. Again, we play first to 7 when we're in a tiebreaker. So let's say I get up to 6-3. At this point, if I win the next point, I've won 7-3 in the tiebreaker, which means I've won the set 7-6 game score wise. Again, because I've won the set, me and Hudson, we're going to play another set, as you have to win 2 sets in order to win the match. Now let's say me and Hudson were in a really close match and the second set goes to another tiebreaker. This time I'm going to demonstrate what win by 2 means. Let's say I get up to a score of 6-5. Again, if I win the next point, that means I win 7-5 in the tiebreaker and I would win the set. However, it's win by 2, so if Hudson wins and we go to 6-6, we have to play till someone leads by a score of 2. So we play to 7, but if I win the next point and I'm up 7-6, I do not have a 2-point lead, which means we continue to play. Let's say Hudson wins the next point and we're tied 7-7. He wins the next point and he goes up 8-7. And finally, let's say he wins the next point, which means he's up 9-7. That is a 2-point lead, which means he'll end up winning the tiebreaker 9-7 at a set score of 7-6, and now we're tied 1 set apiece. Now, although this may seem like a lot, just break it down into the simplest forms. Points win you games, games win you sets, sets win you matches. Now, what we just went over is regular tennis scoring. However, Utah Youth Tennis plays a condensed match. A condensed match is very similar to what we just went over with a couple small changes. The first change being how we play deuce. Now, I explained that in regular tennis scoring, when you're at deuce and you win a point, you go to advantage or add. However, in Utah Youth Tennis League, we play no add. This means if you get to deuce, it's sudden death, next point wins. Whoever wins the point wins the game. So for example, if me and Hudson are at deuce and I win the point, I would automatically win the game. We wouldn't play add scoring rules. So again, the format we use for Utah Youth Tennis is no add scoring at deuce. The next point wins when you're at deuce. The second change that Utah Youth Tennis uses is we play a condensed set. Now, I explained that a tiebreaker happens when you get to a game score of 6-all. However, Utah Youth Tennis does a tiebreaker when we reach a game score of 5-all. So for this example, let's say Hudson ends up winning this game to tie at 5-all. At this point, we would play a 7-point tiebreaker, win by 2. And finally, the last change we do for Utah Youth Tennis is we play a 1-set match. Now previously I explained that usually a tennis match using regular scoring format is played best 2 out of 3 sets. However, Utah Youth Tennis, we only play a single set for the match. So this means if I'm up 5-2 and I end up winning this game, that would give me a set, and technically for Utah Youth standards, that would be the end of the match. You just have to win 1 set in order to win the match. Again, we play a set to 6. The only time this changes is if you're on the middle school varsity team, and then our sets are to 8, with a tiebreaker happening at a game score of 7 all. Now, although keeping score might sound kind of complicated, as you play more matches and get the practice in, it'll become very fluid and easy to understand. Of course, with Utah Youth Tennis, we do have coaches at matches and practices who can help the players throughout the match and keeping score. Now, I do hope today's video helped you in your pursuit in understanding how to keep score in tennis. Of course, there are a bunch of other videos online that might explain it in a different way to help you better understand it. My name is Coach Nate, and we'll sign off.